Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hookster Talks with me and the star of the show, yes, Mr. TB the Bear. TB the Bear. Hello everyone. Yes, here he is, everyone's favourite bear. Favourite bear. Say hello TB. He's waving to you everyone. He's waving to you. Yes, fantastic. Okay, let's get straight into the video. Let's have a look at the titles, what I've actually put on the video, because I can never remember. I typed them out myself, but I can never remember what I put. Ah, yes, right. Let's go to the end first, and that is Angry World. I just want to get serious for a moment, if I can, and that is, I just don't know what's happening with the world right now. Now, I'm referring to the school children's attack in Thailand, which allegedly was performed by a former police officer who was sacked from his job in June because he was found to have amphetamines on him. Yeah, and yeah, apparently he's killed 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds in a school while they were sleeping, and the teachers as well. He then went home and killed his wife and his kids before killing himself. That's quite a lot to process. Now, this is just a trend, and it's a very, very, very sad trend. I mean, it started in America, but it's sad to say that's rather a common occurrence in America with the school shootings, but it started in America. Then we had those shootings in Russia. Well, some people can understand that as well, to be honest. And now we've got the shootings in Thailand as well. I don't understand what's going on with the world. I really don't. We just seem to be in a very, very angry place right now. And in the UK, it's just ridiculous. I mean, everyone's going on strike. Some of the people that are going on strike, I do understand their reasons. So I'm not saying that everyone shouldn't be on strike. I do understand some of the others. I don't understand the reasons whatsoever. I mean, our postal service, the Royal Mail, I don't understand that at all, because our Royal Mail postal service is an absolute joke and has been for years, even before COVID came along. It's an absolute joke. So the fact that they're going on strike is, I don't understand that one at all. Improve the service first before you start striking for extra pay. That's what I say. But anyway, but some of the others I do agree with. But it's just, I don't know what is happening. Now, I remember the last fuel crisis in 1973. I was very, 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 very young. Yes, about 4 years old. But I still have a memory of that time, and it wasn't a very good time at all. But I also remember 1979, which was classed as the year of discontent when Labour was in charge, and everyone wasn't very happy with Labour being in charge. That's why it was called the Winter of Discontent, and basically every service you can think of completely broke down. The bin men didn't pick up the bins for weeks and weeks and weeks. There was litter and rubbish in every single person's street. There was rats everywhere. Huge rat infestation appeared in 1979, and that just wasn't a good time either. And I just feel that 2022 is a very angry time right now. And getting aside from what's happening in that place I'm not allowed to mention, I don't get where this is all coming from. I really don't. I know COVID did a lot of damage, not just physically but mentally as well, to a lot of people. Not being able to go out and see your friends and being cooped up for it was a long time in the UK. We had 3 lockdowns, so you know it was a long time. But I just don't get where all this anger is coming from. The world to me just seems like it's reaching an implosion point with everything that's going on. It's just It's ridiculous. Everyone needs to calm their tits down, really. It's just, this is not the way to go. And you can't really blame it on COVID. COVID's still around, but it's not. I mean, President Biden's officially announced that the pandemic is over. A lot of other people have said that it isn't, but he has officially announced that it is over. So, we can't blame it on COVID anymore, but it's just ridiculous. It really is what's going on in the world everywhere right now. What's the solution? Apart from everyone needs to calm down, that's basically it. Because I don't know where this anger from everyone is coming from. I really don't. But there you go. I wanted to start with that, unfortunately, just to get it out of the way. But yes, very angry times for the world right now, and I always hope that things will get better. And 9 times out of 10, because I'm very, very old right now, they usually do. We go through bad times and then we get good times again. So hopefully, I don't know, a couple of years, things might start to improve, and people's health and well-being and mentalness will start to improve as well. Because I know there's a lot of people out there right now with quite a few mental problems. I mean, constantly hearing on the news about nuclear war is not going to alleviate anyone's mental state right now, is it? Let's face it. And this is another thing that is just absolutely crazy to me. That they're talking about, well, what if that place I can't mention launches, tactical nuclear weapons? They're saying it like they're going to be launching sweets at each other. Yeah, let's throw some Haribos at each other, or some Terry's chocolate oranges. They're not Terry's chocolate oranges, are they? They're nuclear weapons. And as soon as one person from one country fires one nuclear weapon at anywhere in the world, that will be the end game, the end of civilization. Let's not beat around the bush here. So the news outlets are mostly to blame for this. They are scaremongering, bringing up fear. Sky News is the biggest propaganda I've ever seen. Every single weekend they do the same story from Ukraine that they reported about 7 months ago. It's just pure propaganda from Sky News now, every single weekend. Because I switched Sky News on at the same time at the weekend just for 5 minutes to catch up, and it's the same news story from Ukraine that they reported about 7 months ago. It's just ridiculous. It really is. As I say, everyone needs to calm their tits down. And if you're having some mental problems right now, I'm afraid I haven't got any sort of solutions except to say, hopefully, things will get better. Things will get better. And to all the countries of the world who are basically testing, experimenting with or whatever with nuclear weapons, shame on you. Shame on all of you. You should be reducing the amount of nuclear weapons you've got in your country, not brazenly, proudly showing them off and test launching them or whatever. Nuclear weapons was designed from day one to be a deterrent, not used as a threat against other countries just because, things aren't quite going the way that you wanted to. Did you really expect that a war was going to last 4 days and you were going to walk straight into another country? Absolute madness. Absolute madness. So yeah, nuclear weapons they're the end game. And quite frankly though, after looking at that certain person's military, I pretty much doubt they've got more than about 4 working. I heard they sold all the fuel off for them in the 90s. I mean, you think about it. They got allegedly 7,000 nuclear weapons. You can't just have them sitting in silos for 40 years. They have to be constantly maintained, fueled, be ready to go, make sure they're working properly, constantly, okay? So you think about that. I bet you he's got about 4 that work. And out of those 4, probably 2 will blow up as soon as they launch out of the silos. Honestly, it's ridiculous. And why on earth would any country need 7,000 nuclear missiles unless it was absolutely fearful of itself? It's 7,000 nuclear missiles. Why? 150 is enough for any country. 150. Just to, as I say, as a deterrent. That's all you need. They just need to be a deterrent. 150. You don't need 7,000. If you've got 7,000 nuclear missiles, you've got a huge penis problem. Huge penis problem. It must be like that. It must be like that if you've got 7,000 nuclear weapons. Yes. So yeah, it's a very angry world right now. I don't know what the solution is, but I hope that soon things will improve. And as I say, very sad to hear. I've only just caught the story about an hour ago before I came on here about the, I think it's 23 children that have been killed by a former police officer in Thailand. And as I say, he's killed 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds. Son was sleeping, and he then went home, killed his wife, killed his kids, and then killed himself as well. And there's not much else you can say about that, really, to be honest. But there you go. My condolences go out to the families of the children that he did kill. If he wanted to do that, he should have just killed himself immediately and not hurt innocent children. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, let's move on to brighter stuff. That's the end of my little rant. Hello to Matthew D'Souza. He says, nice beard, Dave. It's the same as last week's. Oh, it might be a little bit longer. Thank you. I'm auditioning for Father Christmas. Yes, I'm going to be the new Santa. Oh, God. Could you imagine that? Yeah. When are you want for Christmas? No, bugger off. You're not having a thing. Bastards. Bastards. Absolute bastards. I lost the All Seasons again, you bastards. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Hello, Mr. Glory to Putin. He says, hello, we'll be here only for a bit. Well, a bit is good enough for me. A bit is about all I get these days, so well done. Matthew says, Verstappen and Hamilton, disaster class in Singapore. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Right, before we get on to the race, I'm just going to finish off the title of the video. So I've done Angry World. You've had that, and I wanted to get that out first, get all the doom and gloom out of the way first, and now we'll go to lots more of the fun stuff. So the second question is, do we need another UK government? And the answer to that is yes, I do believe we do. Now, I've made no illusions about the fact that I am a conservative. One thing I always say is never talk about politics to friends, family, or anything else, because it breaks friendships, it breaks it all. Don't do it. Don't do it. Keep your politics, to yourself. But I've never made any secret of the fact that I vote Conservative. I always have done. The reason why is quite simple, because when I was at an age of being able to vote, you basically get to a situation where you pick a side, and Conservative is the one that I picked. That doesn't mean that, I agree with everything that they do, but politics is it's the same all over anyway. We've had very good Labour politicians. We've had very bad Labour politicians. We've also had the same with the Conservative Party. We've had good politicians, now we've had very bad politicians as well. Boris. But that's basically what it is. And because of that, I don't betray my principles either, so I always still vote Conservative. But I have now reached a point in politics where I'm done. I'm done. When the next election comes along, whenever it's going to be, I will not be voting for anyone. No. I am done. Don't forget what I just said. I am a conservative. allegedly. Yeah, I am a Conservative. Right? This government right now, this new Liz Truss government, is an absolute joke. Absolute farcical joke. All she's trying to do is copy being Margaret Thatcher. That's all she's trying to do. This lady is not for turning. Well, she's done that, what, once already? Is it twice? 2 policies she's gone back on? So this lady is for turning. And she's just absolute bloody joke. And I said this on Twitter. Right now, I'm at the stage with voting. I'd rather have Kermit the Frog as our Prime Minister, because I'm sure Kermit would do a lot better job than Liz Truss. In Liz we trust? No, we don't. Not at all. Not at all. I tell you, I wouldn't have Liz Truss repairing my garden fence, to be honest. No. I'd get her to just clear up the garden and then bugger off, because I wouldn't trust her with anything else. No. She's just an absolute joke. Absolute joke. And well, what we need is what we should have had from the start. We need another election. That's what we need. We need the public to vote in the next party leader. Whoever it is, at this juncture, I don't really care, as long as we don't have the joke that we've got right now. Don't forget, she wasn't voted by us. She was voted by, I think it was 870 Conservative parliamentary people. So, you know, we didn't get a say in it, so that was it. But we should have had a general election and just vote. See what, at the moment, looking at the polls, she wouldn't have got in anyway. It would have been Keir Starmer. So, absolutely ridiculous. We should have had another election. So, yeah, it's going well. In Liz Truss, we certainly don't. We certainly don't. She's just a joke. A farcical joke. Every time she walks up on that stage, I just start laughing, because I know whatever she's going to say is going to be ridiculous. I just can't take her seriously. And she's only been in the job, 16 days? So, well done, Liz. Well done indeed. Personally, at this stage, I'd rather have Boris Johnson. Yeah, I know. Who would have thought that? I'd rather have Boris, to be honest. But yeah, for God's sake, get her out. Because it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, that's the question on the UK government. Right, that's all out of the way. Now we get to the F1 bit. Yes. Okay. I'm going to answer Matthew's question now. Verstappen and Hamilton, disaster class in Singapore. Yes, I do agree with you there, Matt. It was a bit of a disaster class for both of them, really. I think we have to remember, though, that unlike when we're playing F1 games, they don't have ABS brakes or traction control as well. So for Max, with that, you know, braking very hard. Of course, he was braking because he's got no ABS brakes on his car. So, you know, if you haven't got ABS, you can't stop. You do just keep going on. So, in that respect, we have to, you know, give him a few props for that. But to be honest, should he have made that move in the first place? It was a little bit audacious. It was a Hookster move, to be honest. And I don't think it was really on. And I think we saw the result that he wasn't on. As for Lulu, well, yeah, same sort of thing, locking up the brakes and going into the barrier. Yes, into the barrier. Poor Lulu. Poor Lulu. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. He damaged his wing, but it was still on. But then, of course, we had Max, you know, a little bit further back going, oh, the wing's going to fall off. The wing's going to fall off. Disaster. Disaster. Get him in. Get him in. Get him in. Do love it. I do love it. So, yeah, it was a bit of a disaster class. The race, I've said this before, I don't understand why you go to a race with wet tyres and they delay it for 65 minutes and then until it's enough for inters. Why? It's a wet race, for cock's sake. Just start it as a wet race. Don't delay it for 65 minutes. And this 3-hour rule now is really pissing me off. If anyone remembers in the past, you had 2 hours. The moment the clock started and the race started, you had 2 hours to complete the race distance. This, in 97% of the circumstances, worked absolutely beautifully. absolutely beautifully. You had just maybe one race a year, maybe even one race only every 2 or 3 years, to be honest, where you had the countdown timer at the end because the race had run out of time. Somewhere like Monaco and a couple of other places, long Grand Prix, is when that came into effect. But for all the others, the 2-hour time window was absolutely beautiful. It was perfect. Couldn't have been any better. Now we've got a 3-hour window which starts the moment the race is supposed to start. But the FIA can delay the race if they want to, like for 65 minutes, which is what they did. And then at the end of the race, they ran out of time, so they had to put a timer on it. What the hecky thump was the point in that? If they'd have started that race at 2 hours at the start, it would have gone to the end with the full distance. Maybe just the timer would have come in for the last 5 minutes, something like that, which is to be expected because Singapore is a very long race anyway. But maybe just 5 minutes at the end. But no. I can't count how many times the past few years I've seen that countdown timer come up. It's been loads of races. Absolutely stupid. The 2-hour timer was perfect. Why did you change it? FIA, why did you change it? God. Hello, Mr. Plynel Plessy. He says, don't know why FAA decided to delay the thing until Monday. Is because Max is winning the title by any chance? Yes, it could be because of that. Now, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I did see it on Twitter, so it's probably not. But apparently, on Sunday, Max has got to win the race and get the fastest lap as well to be world champion. If he doesn't get the fastest lap, the next driver could still, I mean, it's pretty bloody impossible, but the next driver could steal it away from him if he doesn't get the fastest lap. So that's what I've heard. I don't know whether that's accurate or not. I haven't gone through the points. You'd have to sort of really carefully go through the points to work out that scenario and to see who's in second place and work it out that way. But apparently, yeah, he's got to win the race and get fastest lap. Then he'll be crowned world champion. So it is a little bit of a stretch. I think it's going to go to the next round after Japan, to be honest. But yeah. So I'm going to segue nicely now into the start of the video title, and that is F1 just a farce now? Well, I have to say, in my humble opinion, yes, it is. One thing I do want to congratulate is I'm a little bit out of frame here. Let me move myself across. There we go. I was all on one side. One thing I would like to congratulate is Lewis Hamilton for once again being Mr. Puritanical. If anyone's seen that interview on Sky, then if you haven't, go and watch it. It's such a laugh. It's like he's advertising Christian Aid Week. It really is. He's just so puritanical, talking about the fact that at Silverstone that they put their last development on the car, and then Max Verstappen's car went on to have 4 further developments after that. And you know, so if he'd had 350 grand's worth of new floor on his car, that explains why he won the championship. But it was the way he was saying it. He's gone about transparency, but it was just pure. It was like he was giving a sermon in church. It was ridiculous. And what's worse is he's wearing a white shirt, so he just looks so pure, just Lulu. Oh my God, yes, so pure is Lulu. Didn't he used to go out with that trollop, Nicole Scherzenegger? She was a goer, wasn't she? Yeah. Well done, Lewis. Well done indeed. And didn't Lewis Hamilton get accused of cheating at McLaren? Or admittedly, he was told to cheat by one of the engineers and then owned up to it and then started going into a sulk for about 3 weeks afterwards. But cheating's still cheating, isn't it? Basically, whether you're told to or not, it's still cheating, isn't it? But it's one of the best interviews I've ever seen. It's just pure, unadulterated fluff from Lulu. Absolutely. As I say, it's like he's advertising Christian Aid Week, the way he's talking, you know. He's just so perfect and everyone else is wrong. It's so perfect. Beautiful stuff, Lulu. Well done. Well done indeed. So yes, there's this big debacle in F1 at the moment about the cost cap, which of course was brought in. Cost capping is nothing new in Formula One. Of course, they tried that in 2010. That didn't work either. Two of the new teams that were in 2010, I think Virgin was one of them. Caterham, was it 3 teams in 2010? I can't remember. I know there was Virgin was in there and Caterham was in there as well. Both of those teams run out of money 2 races towards the end. Yeah, because their cost cap, they couldn't do it. Because obviously the trouble with smaller teams is they do tend to use more wings because, you know, they get involved with more accidents. So they do actually probably spend more money in those sort of areas than the big teams do, because, you know, the big boys don't usually go through so many wings. So yeah, they run out of money for about the last 2 rounds of the championship. I think they were still in it. I think they still competed, but yeah, they had no money. But obviously they just run the car as it was and prayed that they didn't lose their wings. So yeah, cost capping, it was brought in 2010. I don't know if it's been in before then. I don't think it has, but yeah, 2010 was the last time we had that. It didn't work. It didn't work. It was brought in as a way of smaller teams to be able to get into Formula One. That's why Virgin came in, and also Caterham as well. I'm sure there's another team now. I'm thinking there was 3 teams in 2010. No doubt someone in the comments will tell you what the 3rd team was. But yeah, and it was brought in so that smaller teams could compete. And that's fair enough if you're going to do that. Smaller teams can compete. But the trouble is, those new teams, they were so far back in terms of performance. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Virgin car was just, oh my God. It was getting lapped about 3 times every single race because it was so slow. So yeah, cost capping. So this has been brought in to keep the cost down, obviously, because Formula One is a very expensive business and it costs a lot of money. And you know, if you don't have it capped at cost, then the teams would just keep spending it and spending it and spending it, really, you know. So it was brought in, or should I say brought back again, and apparently this is all alleged because the official report still hasn't come out yet, and this is what a lot of people are moaning about, saying that are they delaying the report to come out until Max Verstappen has won the championship. But then what happens? If Red Bull are deemed to have gone over their cost cap, now the figures being bandied about are £10 million, dollars, whatever it's euros, whatever it is. I don't know what monetary. It's probably dollars actually for the teams. $10 million. $10 million is a lot of money to go over. It's a lot of money. Apparently the FIA allow them up to 5% of overspend. Well, 10 million is a lot more than 5%, definitely. So this could be a serious problem for Red Bull. But what are the FIA going to do? I've seen the list of punishments they can give it, and some of those are very severe. They could completely exclude Red Bull from the championship. Whether that's last year's championship or this year's championship, I'm not quite sure. But they have the power. It's on the list. They can do it if they deem it to be, you know, really bad. Now, the other thing is Christian Horner. Now, I know he was getting a lot of flack at the last Grand Prix. A lot of flack from all of his Toto fellow sporting directors. But he did seem a little bit too much on the defensive. He was really sort of attacking, and you know, that to me implies that although it may be not as bad as what everyone's reporting, I do believe that yes, they may have gone quite a way over their cost cap, which could be a problem. But is this just another F1 farce? We had it last year with the Abu Dhabi debacle. Have we now got it this year? I mean, what month are we in now? October. And these are the accounts for last year. Are they going to decide championships now, like 9-10 months after they've actually finished? Which is absolute madness. Absolute madness. the championship needs to be decided, well, pretty much on the last race, and that be done with it. I mean, there was the controversy with Abu Dhabi, and there was like 2 or 3 weeks delay while trying to sort out what they were going to do, and then eventually it all stood anyway, didn't it? But it needs to be decided at the last race at the Grand Prix, and that's it. Because trying to decide championships and what have you 9 months later is an absolute farce. And that, sadly, is what F1 is becoming, an absolute farce. I know Sky have just renewed the rights until 2029, which is very sad news, because that means that there will not be any free F1 apart from the Silverstone race in the UK, which is the only one that's free now, until 2030 at the earliest. But it's quite likely that they'll then renew it for another 7 years, because that's how Sky seems to be doing it. So we may never get free F1 again, but we might, because by 2029, if the situation continues as it is doing, they might not have any viewers left. At the moment, I see the decline of F1 being very similar to the decline of snooker. Anyone in the UK who remembers, now I was an avid snooker viewer. In the 80s, snooker was, I know you wouldn't think it, but snooker in the 80s was the biggest, possibly the biggest sport in the UK. The viewing figures for snooker was off the, I think it was, for some of the matches with Steve Davis, 18, 19 million viewers tuned into those matches. It was absolutely phenomenal. But over time, unfortunately, the audience for snooker declined, and now snooker in the UK, it's very, very sort of down on viewing figures. I hold my hands up and admit I have not watched snooker for about the past 10 years. And don't forget, this is someone who was an avid snooker viewer. I still have memories of watching that Dennis Taylor Steve Davis match. I think it was 1987, when it just went on forever, and then it went down to the last black ball, and oh my God, the audience were gasping, everyone at home was gasping. It was just absolute quality, and it was literally like 3 hours. It was 3 hours to decide a snooker match, and everyone was gripped on the edge of their seats. That was what snooker was like. But snooker has sadly declined into almost a minority program now that not a lot of people watch. And sadly, I think if these controversies continue with Formula One, it will decline to a level where people just won't bother with it anymore, because they will see that it's all just being made up, just for the viewing figures. The other thing I was very excited about is they've only renewed it till 2029, and don't forget, of course, their net zero comes out in 2030, which means that basically they can't have any carbon emissions. So they're not confident that there actually will be Formula One in 2030. Otherwise, why not just extend it to 2030 just to reassure everyone that we will still have Formula One in 2030? But they can't. No, 2029. Very significant that they stopped it at 2029. Because as I say, net zero 2030 for Formula One. Never going to work in a million years. I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go on about it now. But yeah, it's never going to work. You can never have net zero for Formula One. No carbon emissions, because of the infrastructure that all the trucks have to go to the circuits, and trucks use diesel. Diesels produce carbon emissions. Net zero. Are you seeing a pattern here? Net zero can't happen all the time. Lorries are chucking out emissions. You've got the flyaway races with the jumbo jets. Jumbo jets use jet fuel, which use emissions. It's not going to work. Now, I did have a conversation with someone on Twitter about this, and he said, no, it only applies to the races. That all the races will be net zero. That's a little bit vague. So you can all get to the races on jumbo jets, spewing out as many gallons of jet fuel as you like. yeah, or getting into your trucks and going into. But as long as when you actually get to the race, it's all net zero, everything's fine. I don't think that's quite how it's supposed to work, to be honest. Net zero is supposed to be net zero. It means everything to do with the business is supposed to not produce carbons, which is not going to work. Not going to work. I notice a lot of these companies that were doing the net zero 2030 have now revised it to 2050. 2050. They've instantly added 20 years due to the fact that we're now opening up all our coal-fired power stations again because we've got no lecky or gas. Yeah, we've got no lecky or gas. So let's just open up all the coal again. Yes, and actually increase the emissions in the atmosphere. Yes, because we can't get cold. We can't get cold. No, sod the planet if we're getting cold. Yes, that's it. Sort it out. So yes, I do believe F1 is getting into a farcical situation. I love the fact that you got new fans coming to the sport and they see a few races and they're like, "Wow, wowzers! This is like the best thing ever." I always say to people like that, go back and watch races from 2000 onwards. 2000 onwards, and then you'll see what real racing was about. Yes. I mean, I wouldn't say to the younger ones to go further back than that because they wouldn't remember or understand races from the 70s and stuff like that, even though they were brilliant races as well. But yeah, just for the younger ones, just watch races from 2000 onwards and then you'll see what a difference it was. It's night and day compared to what it is right now. It really is. It's bullshit. F1 is just complete and utter bullshit right now. It really is. You got that Salim, whatever his name is, who's in charge now. I remember him. He was in one of my dirt games, Dirt 2. That's right. He was a driver. He drove one of the cars. If anyone remembers, Dirt 2. Great game. One of the best ones Codemasters ever made. Yes, I loved it because you had some of the old stars from the past in there, like Travis Pastina or whatever his name was, and all those ones. Great names, and if you actually hit them, they used to make comments back to you and go, "Hey, watch it, Dave." It was great, absolutely great. One of the best Codemasters dirt games ever made was Dirt 2. Anyone hasn't got it yet, go check it out. If you've got a PlayStation 3 though, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a great game. So he was in that as one of the drivers. Yeah. And now he's a chairman of director or whatever of the FIA, and it's just a farce. It really is. Absolute bloody farce. Let's go back to the messages. Oh, we got quite a few. Oh, we got quite a few. Hang on. I'm going to move my keyboard out of the way so I can read them. On the tablet. Matthew says, the Singapore race delay shows why football is levels ahead of F1 in my opinion. I agree with you, Matt. I agree with you, yeah. Football, and who would have ever said that football would get ahead of F1, which is supposed to be a premium motorsport series. Premium, which means top quality. One of the best. It's not displaying that ability right now, is it? It's displaying an ability of farcical backhanders, people not playing by the rules, if that is correct about the cost cap. That means Red Bull haven't been playing fair, which is another thing I don't agree with. But did the other teams also go over their cost caps? Is the reason why they've delayed the cost cap is because all the teams have done it, and so they've got no way of really working out how to sort it out? Is that the reason? It may be. I'm pretty sure it's not going to end up as Red Bull. I'm pretty sure possibly Mercedes are going to end up in there as well and say they overspent their budget. I bet you all the big teams overspent their budgets. Bet you. Ferrari as well, I bet you. Bet you. And they've basically got this dossier, which is probably about 122 pages of bullshit, saying exactly what's happened, and they're sort of sitting there going, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do." I mean, you can't punish everybody, can you? Otherwise, there's going to be no championship this year or last year, whatever they're going to decide. So, you know, it's absolutely crazy. Jamie says, I'm sorry, Matt, can you elaborate on that? Oh, he's talking about the football. Will says, Hamilton also needs to shut up, blessed. He does. I love Lulu. But yeah, anyone who wants to go check out that interview with Sky Sports, I only saw it on Twitter, so I don't know where it originates from. But it was beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Old Lulu sitting there doing his Christian Aid week. I'm pure. I'm pure. I am pure and botanical. Me, Lulu, Sir Lulu. Don't forget that, Sir Lulu. I am a sir. Don't you know? Don't you know? Yes. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Matt says there's nowhere near as many delays to start football matches compared to F1 races. Feel bad for the Singapore fans that had to wait because of the rain. Yep, I agree with you. And the thing is, F1 isn't like NASCAR and stuff like that, is it? They don't have to stop for rain delays. Well, they are stopping. They didn't even start the race, did they, for 65 minutes? Because it was pissing down. They got wet tyres. You've got wet tyres. I don't get it. I really don't. Just start the bloody thing. Anyway. Will says, Toto Wolff has said Hamilton has 5 more years left at Mercedes. Nah, that's it. I'm done. That's it. I'm done. Thanks everyone for watching tonight. You've been awesome as always. Thanks. Me and TB. We're off now. We're off. Ta-da. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. 5 more fucking years. 5 more fucking years. I can't stand over 5 more fucking years for that puritanical prick. Oh, we're still on. We're still on. Get over there, TB. 5 more years. Well, I'm quite glad, to be honest, because it gives me enough to take the piss out of. So, yay, Lulu. Will F1 says, HRT was the other... Thank you, Will. I should have known that. Because in F1 2010, in my first league season, I was driving that HRT. Yes. Or, as I used to call it, the hormone replacement therapy special. What a piece of shit it was. But yes, thank you. So it was Virgin. I've forgotten the other team now. It was Virgin, HRT, and the green one. Caterham, that's the one. God, my brain. Caterham, yes, they were the 3 teams brought in 2010 under the new cost cap rules, which meant that smaller teams could enter Formula 1, which is a great idea in principle. In theory, it didn't work very well because those 3 teams, Virgin especially, did absolutely disastrous. And the Virgin used to get lapped about 3 times, so they were just mobile bloody chicanes, basically. And so, yeah, that didn't work, did it? Well done, FIA. Jamie says, right, football is played on grass by humans. Oh, here we go. Here's a message for you from teacher. Pay attention now. Pay attention. Right, football is played on grass by humans running around, not in 200 miles per hour cars. Still kind of agree with you, but an absolute terrible example. There you go. That told you, Matt. Will F1 HRT were a joke? They were. But that car was a joke as well, has to be said. The Hispania Racing Team. Yes, Hispania Racing Team. It was a joke of a car. Horrible, horrible thing to drive. Really was. I mean, I only ever drove it in the computer games, but horrible. No speed in the car whatsoever. Glory to Putin says the cost cap never made it into the 2010 rules. It was too late for the new teams to pull it through. Oh, I see. Was it? Oh. That's right. They were supposed to have put the cost, but they didn't at the last minute. I remember that. Yes, you're actually right there. Yes. But it still elaborates on my point that the last time they attempted a cost cap was 2010. It just didn't work. And it looks like this one hasn't worked either. Planel Plessy says HRT failed to qualify for the Australian Grand Prix 2 years in succession. I have a vague recollection of that, yeah. Well done, HRT. Well done. That was the one that had, was it 2011? With that horrible paint scheme. Oh my God. It was called the Cucumber car, wasn't it? But it was just the worst livery I think I've ever seen on a Formula One car. It was horrible. It literally looked like someone had just got a bucket of paint, mixed in about 6 different colours, and just threw it at the car and went, yeah, that'll do. That'll do. It's good enough. Good enough. It's horrible. 2011 HRT. But of course, that wasn't driven by the greatest F1 driver in the history of the world ever, Narayan Karthikeyan. Karthikeyan. Yes. What a driver he was. Caliber. World Championship. Could have been if he got in a decent car. He would have been world champion. Probably have beaten Lulu by now. With Narayan No, not really. He was absolute 7 shades of shite. 7 shades of shite was Narayan Karthikeyan. Can't say his name, don't really care. But yeah, well done to Narayan Karthikeyan in the HRT. Love that car. But yeah, the 2011 worst livery I've ever seen on a Formula One car. If you don't believe me, go check it out now. Just Google it. Horrible. Yeah. I've seen some bad liveries. That was the worst. Matthew. Yes, I knew I was going to do that. Do apologise. It's all right. It's not COVID. Matthew says, deduct points for next season if they're breached, in my opinion. Deducting points this season won't do anything to both championships. Yeah, true. A lot of people have also said that because the what Red Bull did, which was go over the cost cap, which of course would have been for this year's car. So what they need to do now is to penalise them this year for next year's car. And so next year they won't have as much money for their car. That's a sensible thing to do, because if you've done it for this year, then you might as well just penalise them for next year's car. So if they've gone over by 10 million, they should have 10 million less to spend on the car next year, which will hurt them. It will definitely hurt Red Bull because of the developments. They won't be able to put as many developments on the car. So it's definitely a worthwhile penalty. But is that just again going to artificially decide the championship? Because that means Mercedes will be back on top again, and Red Bull will be sort of, back to being just behind them. Who knows? We will see. Will F1 says apparently Red Bull have only gone over the cost cap by less than 1 million. Even 10 million was one estimated amount. Yeah, it's very up in the air about how much they've actually gone over. Some people have said it's only 1 million. Some people have said it's up to 10 million. So when this fascinating report finally comes out, we will find out how much they actually did go over. But at the moment, yeah, it's all up in the air. Hi, Scott. Yeah, very well. Thank you, mate. Thank you. And welcome to the stream. Planel Plessy says Sky are forcing people to pay Now TV for 30. Am I reading that right? £34 a month. 34. Are you kidding me? Is this just for F1? Because of course I haven't got any of this, so I've only got I've got Virgin TV, but I pay as little as possible that I can get away with for it. I tell you, £34 a month. Is that just to watch F1? If that's just to watch F1, that's a ridiculous amount of money. £34 a month. That's crazy. Well done, Sky. Matthew says snooker is ahead of F1 to me, in my opinion. Great win by John Higgins against Judd Trump. I don't even know what their names are. Is he related to Donald? In quarterfinals of the Hong Kong Masters. I understand that. I understand if that's your opinion. It's just for me, someone who was an avid viewer of snooker back in the day, my interest is sort of, but if you're like a viewer that's, because of your age, you're a viewer that's come in the last 10 years, and obviously, yeah, it's going to be absolutely great, your snooker. But for me, it's just, it tailed off after about 1994. I'd still like to know what the viewing figures are for snooker right now, though, compared with like 1987. As I say, there was 19 million people watching that final. I'd like to see if snooker gets anything like those figures. I rather doubt it does, to be honest. Glory Deputy says exclude them from last year's constructors and give them a fine. Simple. Yeah, that would be an easy fix, to be honest. If it is, though, just Red Bull, which, as I say, if it's not, everyone could be in trouble. But yeah, just exclude them from the constructors. I mean, they've taken constructors' points away before from whole teams for the whole year for doing big infringements, haven't they? I think, I'm not sure, but I think it was Michael Schumacher in 97 when he hit Villeneuve. I think they took all his constructor points away. I'm not too sure about that. But anyway, it's the easiest solution. But will they do that? No, because they want to increase the drama. So they'll do something else, won't they? Scott says, in the future, in about 5 to 7 years, I think F1 will leave Channel 4 and move back to ITV. I so hope so, because I grew up with F1 ITV because BBC won't get it because of their money problems. Yeah, BBC won't ever do F1 again because they had the contract for F1 and then they decided, oh, we can't afford it anymore. So it's Channel 4 that actually brought out the rest of the BBC contract. Yeah. It's amazing. Amazing. It's the only channel in this country that everyone has to pay for, and yet they couldn't afford the F1. Yeah. Funny that, isn't it? Plynal Plessy says that Steve Davis match had 18.5 million people watching on BBC Two, their highest rated broadcast. Doubt it'll ever get beaten. Yeah, I agree with you. And one of those viewers was me. One of those viewers was me. Yes. That was 87, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, 87. I remember that because I just got a video recorder. I think it was my first video recorder. I just got one of those. And that match was on. But unfortunately, I hadn't had time, because I was working at the time, I hadn't had time to go through the instructions to work out how to use it. Otherwise, I would have recorded it. Yeah, which is what I do with a lot of snooker after I got a video recorder. But yeah, I couldn't work out how to record it. So I did actually I wanted to anyway, but I watched the whole of that race live. The whole of that match live. And it was memorable. Absolutely memorable. But yeah, Sky are pushing their luck, says Scott Barnes. They surely are at £34. The only great people on Sky F1 are Nico Rosberg. Yeah, I agree with you there. Jenson Button. I agree with you there. And Kieran Chankcock, as I call him. He's on F1 Manager, if you ever noticed. Whatever his name is, apart from those three, they're quite near. Yeah. Plynal Pletty says, Martin Brundle and Ted are the only ones on Sky F1 I like. Channel 4 have a better team, better coverage, but sadly reduced to highlights. Yes, it is. It is. I have to admit, though, I'm so used to highlights now, I don't know if I can watch races all the way through. I mean, we had the Silverstone race, that was live, and after about 20 minutes, I was starting to look around the room going, has it finished yet? Because I'm just so used to getting the whole race condensed into about 55 minutes that I was starting to, my mind was starting to wander. It's weird how that happens, isn't it? But yeah. Will F1 says some Hamilton fans are so deluded they should just not watch F1 anymore. Cough, 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 cough. I agree with you. There's a lot of deluded F1 fans out there. It's these F1 fangirls that get me, you know, the ones that are following Lando and all that lot, and it just really does my tits in. It really does. They know absolutely nothing about Formula One. Absolutely nothing. Zero. Absolute zero. All they've done is watch Formula One since about 2020. That's it. That's it. They know nothing. And yet they think they're an authority on Formula One. It's just unbelievable. Apparently, Channel 4 wanted F1 back in 2012. They had plans to bring extensive coverage of the sport. My guess is that F2 and F3, GP2 and GP3 at the time, would have ended up being shown on E4. Yeah, I quite agree. I think they would have done. Now, of course, I've also heard some news last week that the W Series is in serious trouble and they haven't actually got enough financial money to finish the season. I think it's only got a couple of rounds left anyway, but they haven't got enough money left. So the W Series is in serious doubts whether it's actually going to continue. Now, is that a surprise to me? No. Not really. They've completely ruined the championship anyway by bringing Jamie Chadwick back. That series is supposed to be for up and coming stars of the future. Jamie Chadwick is no longer an up and coming star of the future, so she should not have been brought back, in my opinion, just purely for ratings, basically. You know, she did her time there, and that should have been it. There should have been someone else there. But yeah, so the W Series, as I understand it, is in serious trouble, and I can understand the reasons why, because it was never going to work. It was never going to work. And it was only going to work in the short term. As soon as the interest started to tail off, which obviously it is doing now, then it's probably only going to finish this season, and that's probably going to be the end of it. Like I say, if you want this to happen with women in motorsport, then get them in the main motorsport. And if they're good enough, they will get there. That's been the problem. All the women in motorsport moan about, you know, it's male chauvinists, you're all pigs and what have you. It's got nothing to do with that whatsoever. If you're good enough, you will still get into F1. Whether you've got tits or a cock. Doesn't make any difference. If you're good enough, you will get into F1. So stop moaning, all you women out there, and just... I'm bloody sure there is a Japanese female. I'm not stereotyping. I'm just saying this as an example because, you know, they're well into their sports out there. There's a Japanese female F1 driver, probably as good as Max Verstappen. Probably as good, but of course, because she's female, Japanese, and all that, she probably won't ever get recognised and get into the sport. But yeah. So get rid of the W Series because it's not necessary anyway. You don't need to segregate the sexes and have an all-female championship and all. Okay. In regards to F1, there isn't anything that a female can't do in F1 because unlike the smaller formulas, F1 have power steering. Okay. A lot of women have complained that the fact that the cars aren't power steering is because they haven't got the same muscle in their arms so that they can cope with that. Personally, I say that's complete and utter bollocks because some of the women I've known have been stronger than me and could quite possibly kick 10 bells of shit out of me very easily. So I don't agree with that whatsoever, but that was their thing that's always been from the lower formulas, that because they didn't have power steering they couldn't do as well but you get into F1, they've all got power steering cars, and from what I've heard, apart from this year's cars, which are a bit of a handful, but the cars before have been pretty easy to drive. As one person said, I can't remember who it was, a chimpanzee could basically drive a Formula One car. Personally, I don't think that's a very fair assessment of Lulu's driving ability, but there we go. Lionel Pletty says Lewis will still be racing at 42 then. Oh, I can't wait. Another 5 years. Not confirmed, but Toto thinks Hamilton will retire in 2028. Wowzers. What he could do, I mean, look at Fernando Alonso, 41 and still going, and he's just signed a new contract. So he's still going to be driving till he's, 44, 45. So it's possible. He'll be forced out in a couple of years. Lando will replace him. Hamilton won't stick around much more, to be honest. No, I don't think he will either. I can't see him doing Alonso and carrying on till he's, into his 40s. I think he'll get fed up. Because as Lewis constantly says, he's got other things he needs to do. He's got lots of things on the go. So, he'll reach a time where he'll say, yeah, I've had enough from Formula One now. Thanks very much. I'm out of here. Scott Barnes says, Mr. Pesci, I forgot Ted, loved Ted, but Martin Brundle isn't as good as he used to be. Yeah, I used to love Martin Brundle. Unfortunately, I sort of went off him when he went to Sky, because if you don't know the story about that, he was supposed to be partnering with David Coulthard to do the commentary, I think, which was going to be on the BBC at the time, but he said no, because I don't want to do highlights. So he split from David Coulthard and went off to Sky, which left David Coulthard a little bit, annoyed. And I do believe they're not very good friends after that. That's the thing. But David did all right for himself, because he actually invented Whisper Films, who now do the coverage on Channel 4. That is David Coulthard's TV company, Whisper Films. Not a lot of people know that, as Michael Caine used to say, but yeah, that's his TV company. And they now do the highlights on Channel 4. So well done to Mr. Coulthard. He must have got that money from that casino he's got in Monte Carlo. Yes. I don't know if he's still got it now, but he used to have one. Lionel Pletty says 2011 was that livery. The non-sponsors kept saying, this could be you, and this is a cool spot. Oh, yes. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Will says Latifi, Sonoda, Mattia Claninotto. He's terrible, isn't he? Really is. Lionel Pletty says £34 a month for the sports package on Now TV. My dad uses it so he can watch the F1 and the football, and he also watches the cricket and the NFL. Well, that's fair enough if you get more than that. I just thought £34 just for the F1, which would have been ridiculous. Do you remember ITV Digital? Do you remember No, not ITV. F1 Digital. That was the one. Yes. £10 a month. £10 a month to watch the races. No, £10 a race to watch the races. That's right, £10 a race. I always remember that time Martin Brundle with old Bernie on the grid talking about F1 Digital, and he turned around to Bernie and said, is that the one where if you bring a few mates round you treble the audience? Bernie was pissed. Oh, look at his face. Look at his face. It was classic. I loved that moment. Matthew says most snooker is on Eurosport these days. However, you can watch the matches that are not on TV on betting sites. Some events are on TV and the three majors are on BBC. Overall, a lot cheaper than F1 in the UK. Oh, interesting. Plynal says the W Series is collapsing is a bit of a disaster. You think Jamie Chadwick would be offered a drive in F3 or F2? You would have thought so. I mean, F3, surely by now, she should be able to do F3. In fact, I'd put her in F2 by now. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, she's obviously better than that. What was that other one that they kept going on about and she's really not very good? Oh, yes, Tatiana Calderon. Yes, she's a bit of a white elephant, isn't she? Doesn't do very well at all these days, and yet she was supposed to be the next big thing. But there you go. Scott says Carmen Jorda has kicked Dave in the bollocks then. Yes, many times. And I enjoyed it every time, Scott. Every time, yes. I'll tell you what, old Carmi, she's got a bit of that old muscle and the old arms. I bet she kicked 7 bells of shit out of me. Sonoda needs to be sacked, says Will F1. I agree with you. But he's got another contract, doesn't he? Or has he? I can't remember. Lloyd Putin says, sorry, busy sorting stuff out. We're back as soon as possible. I will welcome you when you come back. Sonoda is turned into a bit of a melt. A bit of a melt? I think he's a total melt. Will F1. F1 Digital. £10 a race. Yes, I remember those days. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And who remembers ITV Digital? That was what we had before Freeview came out. Yeah. In fact, that was the origins of Freeview as we've got it now. Yeah. F1. ITV Digital. That was the first digital. Well, it wasn't the first because we had the others, like Virgin came out as well. But yeah, F1 Digital was the forerunner to Freeview. In fact, for a few years after F1, I keep saying F1 Digital, for a few years after ITV Digital collapsed, everyone was using their boxes to pick up Freeview because it used all the same channels. So yeah. But yeah, that was a complete disaster. That was going to be the next big thing, but it just collapsed because nobody wanted to pay for TV back then. Nobody wanted to pay for TV. Are you insane? And then it all went into administration, and ITV Digital ended up informing all their customers that the boxes must be returned, or they've got to pay £39.99 because they said it clearly states at the bottom of our T&Cs, these boxes do not belong to you. How many boxes do you think were actually returned back to ITV Digital from the liquidators? Well, I heard about 2. Everyone else just threw them on the skip and said, fuck yeah, I'm not returning them. I'm not paying £39.99 for them either. Bollocks. So yeah, that was a big debacle, that was. Bonaparte says, apparently F1 Digital refused to let people record their programs that to be watched live. Wow, really? I didn't know that because I never had it. But wow, that wouldn't have been good. So you pay £10 a month and you have to watch. Nah, that's. Will says Carmen Jordan was utterly hopeless in GP. Someone's just having a go at my car here. Someone's just having a go at my car here, saying she was absolutely useless. I beg to differ, sir. I beg to differ. You go on Google now, put in Carmen Jordan, put in the GP3 Championship, and you will see that she did absolutely superbly. No. Not really. Little known fact, she did GP3 3 years. 3 years she was in GP3. In fact, I think she was the longest running person there's ever been in. And don't forget, she was in GP3 the same time as Max Verstappen was in there as well. 3 years. Okay, halfway through year 3, yeah, she was sacked. Or, as the team like to say these days, she was let go. She was let go. Let go. Here's the best laugh. The bloke who took her car over, who name escapes me at the moment, on the next race after she was let go, so just one race after she was let go, put the car on pole. Oh, what a mistake of the maker. He did, honestly. He put the car on pole. Same car, different driver. That was so funny. F1 Digital definitely paved the way for how the sport will be broadcast with a lot of onboard cameras. Yes, it did. It did. The trouble is, it costs so much money. All the tracks had to be dug up. Not the actual tracks themselves, but the the lines next to the tracks because all the wires for the digital service had to go in right next to the tracks. It cost Bernie billions to get all the tracks up to code for the F1 digital cameras, and he didn't get that back. He didn't get any of that back, to be honest. But it was good because, I mean, after it failed, the next year, I think ITV were doing it, and ITV nicked most of the F1 digital cameras. So we had lots more camera angles on the ITV. So it was all good for us. We just didn't have to pay for it because it was free. It's free on ITV. So it was great. I mean, he'd done all the groundwork and done all the work and got all them. So might as well use them, mightn't you? I was kind of waste, isn't it? ITV Digital failed and put a lot of EFL clubs into administration because they paid over 300 million for EFL coverage. Yeah, I remember that. It was not a good day for English football when all that went tits up. I remember that. Very dark days. Matthew says, what do you think of the latest Dream Daddy episode on the Dom Orlando channel with... Oh, God, please. Please, Matt, please. You know, there's a reason why he does them at 4 o'clock in the morning, don't you? Yeah. Do you know what that reason is? So he's hoping no one watches him. Even though he's streaming them. Yeah, he streams them live to the whole world. He's hoping that if he does it at 4 o'clock in the morning, not many people are going to watch. And thankfully, not many people do. But yes, anyone who wants to go and check out Dream Daddy, it's on the Dominic Orlando. There's a picture of a crash helmet. That's his symbol. Go check him out. And go subscribe to him because he's got 67 subscribers. And if you subscribe to him, get into 70, oh my, it'll be ecstatic. It will be. He'll be inconsolable. Absolutely. I mean, he's had a bad lot these past few weeks with Latifa getting let go at Williams. So he needs a bit of good luck. So yeah, get him to 70 subs. He might even record a song just for everyone. Yeah, he might do. So go do it. Matthew says, can't lie, I'm loving the Dream Daddy series. Moving on. Have you run out of Carmen Jordan images for your F1 2021 career mode yet? No, I haven't, Matt. I've still got loads. Fortunately, Carmi is very active on Instagram and she keeps posting more pictures of herself. I have an announcement, though, regarding the Carmen Jordan career mode. And that is, it was the last episode last week, I think. So I only like to do them every fortnight. But from next fortnight, it will be the very, very last Carmen Jordan career mode. Yes, I've decided to pension off the old girl. It's time for her to draw her pension. And it will be the very, very final career mode, which I will be featuring Carmen Jordan. And what I'm hoping to do is include clips from past episodes, like the comedy clips as well, while I'm doing this final season. And then we will be saying a final au revoir to Carmi as she goes and collects her pension, because she's getting on a bit now, isn't she? She's getting on a bit. So yeah, I've decided to finally give the dog its day, and this will be my final ever Carmen Jordan career mode. That'll be it. There'll be no more Carmen Jordan. Yes. Sad days, but it had to happen, Matt. It had to happen because, you know, can't keep the old girl going forever because she's not very relevant these days. Anyway, so that's the plan anyway. You hear that ITV is going back to being called ITV1 next month. They've rebranding due to ITVX. Yes, I did hear about that. And I'd just like to say, as one of my part-time jobs of market research, that I made a very, very small, because I don't know how many other people were surveyed, but I did a very small contribution, and it was my idea to call it ITVX. So there you go. My fault. The other ideas, though, were pretty shit. Get this. ITV Plus. That's what they wanted to call it. ITV Plus. ITV with a plus sign. So it'd be like Disney Plus. That's what they wanted to call it. And I said, computer says no. Computer says no. I thought that, and some of the other, I can't remember the others. What were they? I say ITVX. What else are they going to call it? Oh, I can't remember the others, but yeah, they were really, really bad. So I, as well as probably about 4 million other people, came up with ITVX because out of a bad lot, we thought that was the best one to have. So I am a tiny bit responsible for the name change. There you go. In a very small capacity. Don't get why they're changing. The reason why they dropped the 1 was because most people call it ITV anyway. Exactly. And didn't they start calling it 1 and that for like because it was coming out in high definition? I mean, all the channels back then was ridiculous, wasn't it? It was BBC 1 HD and then ITV 1 HD. That to emphasise that it was in HD. And I think that's why they changed it, wasn't it? But now they don't even bother anymore, do they? Because, yeah, it's in HD, so what? Also, talking about HD, I just want to get this out. It seems like a lot of the streaming services and YouTube, I think, are going to be guilty of this, that they're going to hide 4K content behind a paywall. So if you want to watch anything in 4K, you will have to pay for YouTube Premium. Yes. I just like to say that I made a decision a long time ago, to ensure that all my videos are in 1080p, 30 frames a second. And they will continue to be that for as long as I keep making videos. So you will not have to go onto a paywall to watch the all seasons, which you wouldn't do anyway. I mean, who the hell would pay to watch the all seasons? Who the hell would pay to watch that? But yeah, I'm just saying, it will never be in 4K. 4K is quite a minority anyway. There's not a lot of people with 4K. Obviously, you've got the cost of living crisis, so not a lot of people can buy TVs right now with 4K. And for me to get 4K, I'd have to upgrade quite a lot of my equipment. My capture card only does 1080p, so I'd have to upgrade that to 4K and stuff like that. Now I've got a few. It's time for me Viagra. I've got a few videos on my channel that I've upscaled to 4K, but they're not actually true 4K. But as I say, I would have to update a lot of the equipment. So I decided I can't be bothered with that. So they're going to stay at 1080p, 30 frames a second. There's nothing wrong with that picture quality on a YouTube video, especially if you're like watching it on a mobile device or whatever. You don't need it in 4K. You really don't. So yeah, they'll be continuing like that. And it looks like, as I say, YouTube's going to hide it all on their YouTube Premium, the 4K stuff. So boo-hoo to you, YouTube. And it looks like a lot of the other streaming services are going to try that as well. So there you go. Boo-boo. Scott says, I think Don was happy with Lance in P6. It was a great result. And Seb P8, that's solid thrust in mind. Yeah, they did well. I must admit. I don't know what's going to happen when Alonso joins the team, but we will find out. Vettel should have beaten Stroll, but Stroll had a better strategy. Yes, he did. Plano Pletty, ITV ++1. Yes. Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Yes, they got a +1, haven't they? That would have been horrendous. Welcome to ITV ++1. Yes, I'm glad I didn't pick that name then. So yeah, that's the name now picked. I didn't get any royalties for that either, you know. They didn't pay me a bloody penny. Well, they did, about 29p, I think, or something like that anyway. But yeah, ITVX, officially made by Dave. And about 5 million other people, probably 10 million, I don't know. Whoever. It annoys me when people say HTV for ITV. Pisses me off. Exactly, Scott. Exactly. Anyway, I've been waffling on. Jesus Christ, I've been waffling on for 1 hour and 24 minutes. 1 hour and 24 minutes. We're just going to go to the phones. They used to say that on Swap Shop back in the 70s on BBC. I know. None of you know what I'm talking about now. But yeah, Swap Shop. Noel Edmonds. Let's just go to the phones. Why didn't that cut my... Oh, okay. Camera's off. Right. Just quickly then, to wind up the stream, we're just going to see if anyone is about in the Facebook chat. It's going to be very, very quick because I'm well over time here. Bloody hell. Let's see if we can get anyone. Please bear with me. I'm doing it all manually. Yes. My name's not Tiamat Marduke, don't you know? I really must stop taking the piss. Right, I've got to get rid of quite a few people here. La la la. La la la. One, two, three, four, five, six. I've only got 7. I'm running out of people. Who can I add? One more. Oh, we'll add that one. He won't answer, but we'll add him anyway. Yep, there we go. Right. Let's see if anyone answers. Let's see if anyone answers. Don't you come up with an error. Thank you. Bastard. Bastard Facebook. I bet you no one's... The question is, am I going to have to go into Amish man mode, or is no one going to answer? We will find out. We will find out. Boo boo boo. TB the bear. It's Super Bear. No, that's not the music to Superman, is it? No, TB says no, it's not the music to Superman. But look at him, look, he flies faster than a speeding bear. Yes. Whee! Whee! It's Super Bear. I still can't get the music. I've got to get it in my head. TB the bear, we love you, bear. I love you. Oh, look at you. You're a big fat bear. What you been eating? What you been eating, you big fat bear? You're a big fat bear, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Come on, let's do your exercises. Is there anybody there? Hello? Hello? Come on, someone answer the Amish man. There's no one there. Hello? Hello? Help me! Help me! I'm trapped in a box! Help me! I can't find my way out! Help me! Help me! Help me, please! I'm trapped in a box! I've been here for 50 years! Help me, please! Help me! I can't find my way out! Help! 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 I've got a feeling no one's going to answer. It's been very thin on the ground as Hookster talks these last few weeks to try and get anyone to come in. Jamie's been my saviour the past few weeks. He's been the only one that's come in, but I'm out of luck. And I'm currently ringing 8 people right now all at once. Yet none of them are answering the phone. Unbelievable. What are they doing? What are they doing? I'm sitting here waiting to see Dom's latest chicken gourmet recipe. I'm sitting here waiting for Joseph to take his clothes off like he always does. And it's just nothing. Absolutely barren. It's a bit like I can talk shit for an hour and a half myself, isn't it? Otherwise I'd be in real trouble. It's a bit like I didn't sort of completely base the show on talking to other guests, isn't it? Otherwise I'd be completely buggered by now. Fuck the lot of them. Answer the phone. Wankers. Wankers. You're all wankers. Well, I think we'll take from that there's no one there. Oh, did it stop? No. Okay. That's it. Another Hookster fail. Let's go back to me, to you, to you. I don't know. Oh, give myself an ice cream headache doing that. Anyway, let's get back to the most important people. That's the people in my chat. Never mind about them ponced up people on Facebook. Let's get back to the chat. Come on, answer the bloody phone. Yeah, they won't, Scott, they won't. 8 people I was ringing there all at once and no one answered. Unbelievable. Don't they know who I am? Don't they bloody know who I am? Are you not entertained? As Mr. Gladiator would say. Love that film. One of my favourites. Yes. My name is Decimus Meridius Maximus. Father of a murdered wife. Husband of a murdered child. And I will get my revenge in this life or the next. Good old Russell Crowe. Chewing up the scenery as always. As always. On Monday, give them a bollocking. Don't worry, I will do, Scott. I will give them a terrible bollocking on Monday. Unbelievable. I'll say, don't you know who I am? Don't you know who I am? I'm going to start paying them soon. It's ridiculous. I have to pay them a wage to try and get them on here. Because otherwise they'll just, it's because it's free, mate. Can't be bothered. Come on, give us some of that dirty lucre and then we'll come on. But apart from that, no. Absolute nada. No. So I have to carry on and hold the show together myself. Anyway, I think I will wrap the stream up there. We've been 1 hour and 33 minutes, which is about what I like to call it before I disappear. I only like to extend it if I've got other people to talk to, but no one wants to talk to Dave. Sad face. Fuck you. Bastards. So I will say an enormous thank you to everyone in the chat tonight. They're in trouble. They are, Scott. They are in trouble. I'd just like to say enormous thank you for everyone in the chat tonight. Here is Mr. TB for everyone in the chat, giving a little special wave. Yes. Yes. Oh, he's brilliant, aren't you? Unfortunately, he's a Lewis Hamilton fan. Don't say it too loudly. I still can't work out why he's a Lewis fan. Can anyone enlighten me? Oh. Okay. Anyway, that's a goodbye from TB. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat tonight. You have been awesome as always. I've told Josh to answer. Yeah. He won't. He won't. I'd like to thank everyone in the chat tonight. To Glory to Putin, thank you. To Scott Barnes. To Mr. Will F1. To Plano Plessy. Very nice speaking about the old days of TV again, sir. I do enjoy our little chats on here about the old TV. I really do. To Matthew D'Souza, thank you, Matt. That was really enjoyable about the snooker as well. I like that. To Mr. Will F1, he was in the chat as well. Who else did we have? I'm just scrolling up the stream here. Scrolling up the stream. Plano Plessy. Scott Barnes. Scott Barnes was in there as well. Matthew, I've said that already. Who else? Oh, just Jamie was in there as well. Thank you, Jamie, for your contribution earlier as well. And I think that was everybody. Yes, it was. So thank you, everyone. This was another something. I don't know what it was, but it was definitely a something. And you've been all awesome as always. And I will catch you for the next video, which will be on Sunday now with the All Seasons. So thank you. All have a good night and be safe. Enjoy the Grand Prix on Sunday. Don't forget, be really excited because Max could win the championship at Japan. But as I say, he's got to win the race and get the fastest lap to become world champion. That's what I've heard. I can't confirm that. I may be wrong, but that's what I heard. That's the actual statistics is what's going to happen. He's got to win the race and get the fastest lap. Otherwise, the next car behind him, I can't remember who that is. Is it Checo? I'm not sure. Anyway, the next car behind him could theoretically, pretty bloody impossible, but could theoretically outdo him in the championship. But so yeah, so it could be a championship decider this weekend at Japan. So obviously all the Japanese fans are going to be going crazy for Yuki Tsunoda. So when you watch the coverage, don't be surprised if there's a lot of Yuki Tsunoda in the Japanese race. In fact, don't be surprised if that's all you see in the race is Yuki Tsunoda. So just hope to God he crashes out in lap 1 and then they can get back and do something else because otherwise it's going to be ridiculous. First time in Japan for 3 years because of the COVID and everything else that we're back in Japan. So that should be exciting. I always enjoy the Japanese race. I don't enjoy driving it on F1 games anymore, but I always enjoy watching it. Very, very sort of special race, especially the atmosphere. And you've got that gigantic big wheel that goes round right next to the track. I always enjoy watching that go round. So yeah, great track, I have to say. And for the first time returning to F1 for 3 years. It should be a good race, and possibly Max will be crowned world champion. Yes, and that will leave, I think it's 4 or 5 races left, which will be a bit disappointing, but there you go. That's what we got, so that's what we're going to have to deal with. 6 a.m. starting time. Sure, we'll enjoy that. Well, I won't enjoy it because I only get the highlights, so I actually record it anyway. So I watch it when I've got the time to watch it. So it's usually pretty bloody late. I think it's on about half past 8. No, it can't be. That's the highlights. I don't know when it's on Channel 4, but it's on. It's on a lot earlier than it usually is. It's usually like 6:30 in the evening, but it won't be that late. So, but I record it anyway and watch it later. Yeah, I get everything else done first and then watch it at the end because it's highlights. I don't have to worry. Anyway, so yeah, so enjoy your Japanese race because it could be the climax of the season. Yes, it could be the climax of the season if Max can get it with his win and his fastest lap. I'm not quite sure whether Max bangs in those fastest laps every race, does he? I don't think he does he? So it's a bit of a tall order. So if he only wins the race, he won't be... It's a bit of a bastard, that is, isn't it? If he only wins the race, he still won't be world champion. He'll have to go to the next round. But if he gets that fastest lap in as well, he will be world champion. Now, I'm pretty sure that if he gets to the situation where he's so far ahead that he could possibly go onto soft tyres and try and get that fastest lap, I'm pretty sure he won't risk the championship, and he's not going to risk 25 points just to get an extra point to win the championship. He might as well just get those 25 points and then win it in the next round, which is going to be a lot easier. He's not going to try and come in and get that fastest lap just to win it in Japan. I don't think he will anyway. I don't think the Red Bull team will be that silly either and say, no, you're going to risk it all just to get an extra point. Just wait until the next round. But if it happens, it happens. So yeah, so if he's the world champion this weekend, well done to Max Verstappen. I think, to be honest, after all the controversy last year, he's definitely deserved it this year. He's driven pretty faultlessly, apart from Singapore, which he drove pretty atrociously. But apart from that, he has driven pretty faultlessly. So a deserving world champion. And of course, Lewis Hamilton will be bringing up the rear, possibly in second place in the championship, possibly third. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. No, the Ferrari boys are still up there, aren't they? But they're bound to tail off even more towards the end. So Lulu will probably get into the top 3 in the championship at the end. Probably end up 3rd or something like that anyway. Maybe Carlos Sainz or Charles Leclerc will be 2nd. And it will go from there. Oh, I forgot about George Russell. He might be up there as well. He's been a consistent point scorer. We will see. We will see. But as I say, hopefully the championship will be done and dusted, and then they can get on with that bloody report and bring it out and show everyone. Get it out of the way, and then we can go to the final 4 or 5. I can't remember, 5 rounds. And unfortunately, I don't enjoy the pointless races where the championship's won. I'm just like, yeah, can't be bothered. But I'll still watch them, but I don't have really an interest. I like to still watch them, even if they're still involved in the championship. Even if the champions are a lot of points ahead, I still like to watch them because you never know what could happen, as happened to Michael Schumacher in 1999, of course, when he broke his leg. You know, something like that could happen to Max. No idea. It's Formula One. It's motor racing, dangerous sport. Anything can happen. But it's a pretty surefire bet that Max will get very close to wrapping up the championship on Sunday. So well done to Max Verstappen. I'm just saying it in advance to be world champion if he does it. It's going to be a very tall order though. He's got to get that 26 points, so it's going to be a tall order. But he's pretty much clinched it anyway because he was 100, I think before Singapore he was 116 points ahead. So yeah, he's well up there. He's well up there. So he doesn't need very many more points to win the championship anyway. And I think, to be honest, even if he started to drop back to like 4th or 5th places, he's still going to win the championship in the next 2 rounds at the most anyway. Doesn't make it, because that's when the points are going to stack up. So well done to Max Verstappen for winning the 2022 World Championship. And then we can move on to 2023 and see what happens. Hopefully Mercedes will scrap that car and build a new one, because that one was pretty shit. Let's say that, and we can move on to a season next year where Ferrari have sorted their shit out, which they won't do because they're Ferrari, but hopefully they'll sort their shit out. We'll have Mercedes will have sorted their car out, and Red Bull will still be on the form that they're on now. But of course, we don't know whether they're going to have that cost cap put in. But if it does bring them back down the field a bit, that's only good, isn't it? Because that will tighten up the field between them and Mercedes and Ferrari. So next year, I'm not going to count my chickens here, but next year the championship could be a real exciting 6-way fight between Russell, Sainz, Lulu, Charles Leclerc, and Max Verstappen, and Checo will be in there as well. If that's what happens. Or it could just be another Max Verstappen walkover like it has been this year. We will find out. That's the great thing about Formula One. Every year you never know until about 3 races in when you do find out which one's pretty fast. But then of course Ferrari were out of the box, were absolutely unbeatable, and now look at them, absolutely nowhere. So who knows? Hamilton is 6 in the drive. Oh, he's only 6. Is it? Oh, I was giving him more points than I was giving him credit for. He's only 6. Oh, he's got no chance of getting in the top 3 then. There's not enough races left. Unless he wins all the remaining races, he's not going to... He might if he won a few more races, he might get into the top 3. Absolutely miles off second. Yeah. Hopefully McLaren will be back up there next year. Not going to happen, but still. We live in hopes for McLaren. We got to find out what's happening with Piastri. It's all very well, having him in the team. It's whether he's going to perform against Lando Norris, of course, which is, it's an unknown certainty. Nobody knows what's going to happen between Lando Norris and Piastri. It could end up being pretty bad if their relationship goes a bit sour. Who knows? I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. What happens if Piastri starts beating Lando? It could get very messy at McLaren, and McLaren have had that kind of problems before, of course, with Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso in 2007. So they got to be careful. I personally don't think Piastri will beat Lando at all, to be honest. In fact, I think in Piastri's first year, he will be a little bit better than Danny Ricciardo, but I don't think he'll be that much better, to be honest. It's just a personal fault. But let's hope he doesn't, start getting to the same level as Lando and then all sorts of problems, because we don't want that in McLaren. We just want a nice, clean season and hopefully have them a little bit higher up the grid, so they can get in the mix with the Mercedes and the Ferraris and the Red Bulls as well. So anyway, there you go. Thanks everyone for watching tonight. You have been awesome. This has been another Hookster Talks. Enjoy the Grand Prix at Japan. Be excited because it could be the championship decider. Yes. So have a little bit of excitement. Hopefully it won't rain again, and then they won't have to delay the race like I did last week. Let's hope so anyway. But we will see. Thank you everyone. You have been awesome tonight. Thank you to everyone in the chat. I've already mentioned all your names already. Will F1, yeah, Gloria. You know who you are. You know who you are because you're typing in the chat right now. Anyway, thanks everyone. Awesome. See you for the next video on Sunday. See you later from me and Mr. TB Bear. TB Bear. TB Bear for Prime Minister. Get your vote in now. Yes. He'll sort the country out. TB for Prime Minister. Don't forget. Thanks everyone. And good night. Oh, Hamilton is 65 points off a third. 65 points off a third. Bloody hell. He's got no chance then. No chance. He'll be lucky to get fifth. Yeah, he probably will. Oh well. I was bigging up Hamilton way too much there. I didn't realise he was that far behind. So Hamilton will probably end up sixth. Well, that's quite a low for Hamilton, isn't it? I don't think he's been that far down for years. Well, he hasn't, has he? He's been world champion for a lot of years. So, yeah, that's very disappointing for Lulu. Very disappointing. Wow. If my name was Lewis Hamilton at the end of this season, I'd be crying into a bucket. Anyway, thanks everyone. Awesome as always. Catch you later. Bye-bye.